Can everybody hear me? All right. Tonight is a very special night for me as I get to introduce a fellow teammate, a coaching colleague, and a lifelong friend, Jon McGovern. I want to tell you about who, why, and how. Who is Jon McGovern? Why is he the first Division III wrestler to be selected into the Iowa Wrestling Hall of Fame? And how does one go from Riceville, Iowa, to Central College, to the Hawkeye Wrestling Club, to the Olympic Training Center, and then to the Iowa Wrestling Hall of Fame? Who, why, and how? Jon McGovern prepped at Riceville High School. He was a 4-time state qualifier and 3-time state place winner. He is the most successful wrestler in Central College history. He's a 3-time Iowa Conference champion, a 3-time All-American, a 2-time national champion. He holds the career win record at Central with 123. He's got the highest winning percentage with a record of 123, 17, and 1. So I think that's like 952. And his 46-2 record his senior season still stands as the best record. He was the most valuable freshman in 1989, the most improved in 1990. He won the Lawrence Award in 1991 for the hardest worker and the most dedication. And his senior season, he was the team MVP and captain. But Jon's success was not immediate. He did not step into college a finished product. In fact, he lost to wrestle-off his freshman year and wasn't the starter. He was a little unsure of himself, maybe a little naive in the best way possible. He didn't have any self-imposed ceiling. He was never fighting against himself that kept him from reaching his full potential. He used his God-given abilities of great balance, hips, and tremendous work ethic to go from the bench to Division III All-American to 2-time national champion. But that's not all. Jon's junior and senior year, he won the Midwest Open at Drake University. He won the UNI Open, and he also placed third at the Midlands in 1992 and 93, back when the Midlands was the premier event. His growth was incredible, and it didn't stop at Central College. In 1993, he went on to wrestle for Dan Gable at the Hawkeye Wrestling Club. While there, Jon finished second at the Sunkist International Open. He was third at University Nationals in freestyle. He was the U.S. Olympic Festival champion with the gold medal in freestyle. And in 1995, he won the Michigan Open. Things were looking really good for Jon McGovern for 1996. April 1st, 1995, Jon suffered a significant injury during training that kept him out of competition for 3 years. When he came back in 1998, he made the U.S. the U.S. national team, finishing third at the U.S. Open and third at the World Team Trials. In 1999, he moved to the Olympic Training Center as a resident athlete and member of Team USA. But he did suffer a shoulder injury that kept him out of competition. In the 2000 Olympic trials, he placed third in the challenge tournament and fourth overall, losing a controversial match against Lee Fulhart by decision that would have put him back on Team USA. By the time it was all said and done, his hit list reads: Marcus Malika, 2-time NCAA champ; Sean Fry, NCAA finalist; Kevin Jackson, 3-time world and Olympic champ; Justin Abdu, 2000 Olympian; Brandon Eggum, world silver medalist, 3-time All-American, NCAA finalist; Matt Demaray, 2-time NCAA champ; Joe Williams, 3-time NCAA champ, 2-time world medalist, 2004 Olympian; Barry Weldon, NCAA champion; Dean Morrison, NCAA champion. Chris Barnes, NCAA champion. Ray Brinzer, two-time All-American. Tim Hartung, three-time All-American, two-time national champ. Mike Schick, multi-time All-American from Ohio State. And he finished ahead of Carol Sanderson multiple times after his comeback in 1998. How? Coach Azinger called it jumping levels. I got the privilege of talking to his teammates from the class of 1992, and it became evident that the how could be summed up in one word: belief. Belief. If you watched Kyle Klingman and Jim Miller's interview of Jon, Jon was upset, I think, with Kyle's questioning. Like, how did you get here, Jon? How did this all happen? Jon believed in himself so much that it wasn't even a thought. He just thought that was the way it was supposed to be. Belief. His belief in Christ, his belief in his coaches, teammates, and fellow man, and his belief in himself. So Jon's belief starts and ends with his faith. He's a strong Christian, and he lives his life with purpose. And he's in pursuit of the eternal prize. He comes from a great family, wonderful parents, Jan and Terry, who instilled the core values of honesty, integrity, discipline, loyalty, all high character traits that he imparts on his athletes today that mesh tightly with his faith. Belief in his coaches, teammates, and fellow man. He believed in Greg Lonning, who recruited and planted the seed. He believed in Kevin Azinger, who tended to that seed and watered and helped it grow and nurtured it. His teammates said Jon was willing to pour himself out for others. He made everyone around him better, a great inspiration to us all, deeply loyal and tender-hearted, great teammate who cared immensely about others. Man, he would encourage everybody. It was amazing. So we had a teammate that never started through his 4 years. He's one of Jon's classmates, and he's here today. And Jon was the guy that said, you need to come out. You need to finish this thing. You need to stick it out for 4 years. And that guy went on to be an All-American that year. Things like that. I know when he believed in me. When I'd go out and visit him at the Olympic Training Center, he would say, come on, you need to get out here. You need to wrestle Greco here, I'll wrestle freestyle. We'll do this thing together. I was like 8 years into my coaching career at that point, but he believed. He believed in you. He encouraged us to be the best we could be. I don't think I ever heard a negative comment from him. Always super positive, almost to the point of annoyance for some. And I remember that too. And it was on the track in the morning. We did these 20-minute runs, and it was 10 minutes of jog or run for Jon. Jon was running like a deer, and man, he could run. He was probably the best runner that I've ever seen in college wrestling. You know, if he didn't have a career in wrestling, it was probably going to be running. And so we'd do this 10-minute warm-up, and then we'd have 10 minutes of fartlek, which is 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. It all depended on what Coach Azinger wanted or Coach Lonning. And maybe it would get shorter as the season rolled on, but, I'm struggling. Jon's sprint was like, or my sprint was like Jon's jog. So, like, he passed me and lapped me on our 200-meter track there, etc. Oops, that wasn't good. Good grief. I have a drinking problem, I guess, now. So anyway, so I know what that was. When one of our teammates said that, I thought to myself, yep, positive attitude, 100%, Jon McGovern. Jon McGovern believed in himself. I've been around a lot of great wrestlers, coached a lot of great wrestlers, and I can tell you, no one outworked him. No one. If you got the better of him in the wrestling room, During a 2-hour practice, you weren't going to win on the track or do the volume of training that he put in. It was truly remarkable. He was the master of the 20-minute workout. Could be a lift, could be a run, could be a drill, it could be live wrestling, could be the airdyne, could be sprints, that he'd fit in multiple times a day. And he'd try to drag different guys with him to each one. So we knew nobody else could keep up with that. But he'd pick one teammate and another teammate and another teammate and do that all day long. In fact, tonight, he asked me to go outside and do a pummel match before we got up here to speak. So still always looking to get those workouts in. Belief in yourself comes from preparation. And there's a receipt for your preparation, right? That receipt's called confidence. Jon had that. That's what confidence is. Crazy Magoo motivated us to outwork each other, always wanting to get an extra workout in. It didn't matter the time of day. If we just finished practice, it was a chance to get ahead, as he would put it. I'm not sure he ever got tired. His preparation, his time, his energy, his focus, his intention, and he did it relentlessly and consistently, day after day. And that's how he covered a whole lot of ground. And that's how you get from Riceville, Iowa, to Central College, 2-time national champion, to the Hawkeye Wrestling Club, and into the Iowa Wrestling Hall of Fame. It's not the how or the why. It's because of who. Let's bring him up here. Jon McGovern. Congratulations, buddy. What's that? Oh.
From day one, we had big goals, big dreams. We wanted to be national champions. We wanted to be world champions. And what made it special is we went to Central College, and NCAA division didn't matter. At that time, if you're an NCAA 3 champ, you go to in Division 1 and beat all those guys. So Tim Hackle kind of led the way at Central. He was national champ at Central. Ron Johnson kind of fostered the environment and culture. They were contending for national titles. And it was a place that we both bought in full steam ahead. Coach is Greg Lonning. He's not here today, but he's with us. Kevin Azinger, Tim Hackle, Matt Deal. We believe we can conquer the world with you guys. You are awesome. So it's an honor to share this moment with Jason, the Hall of Fame, a great friend. I also want to thank the Hall of Fame committee, and I want to thank Coach Dan Gable for making Iowa the wrestling capital of the world and a place where every Iowa wrestler thinks they should be a world champion. I want to thank him for inviting me to be a member of the Hawkeye Wrestling Club and compete for the Hawkeye Wrestling Club. I want to thank my parents growing up. They raised me with faith, integrity, and commitment to doing things the right way. My dad taught me whether you have a little or a lot, you always have something to offer others in the family or community. He was a big giver, great leader. He always taught me how to work, have a great work ethic, and believe you could do any great thing, but always bring it with humility. My mom was the backbone of the household. She'd bring the meals, cook everything up, disciplined, organized, and wanted to maximize every minute of time we had on this earth. Very positive and supportive of everything I did, all the training. We grew up in a small farm in Riceville. I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters, all great athletes. I would not be a wrestler or coach today without my brothers, Kelly and Jay. They inspired me to wrestle and stay in it. Kelly told me to sign up and wrestle. First match, I got pinned. I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm good cut out for this stuff. He kept encouraging me, support me. Nobody starts out really great. They just got to get inspired. So thank you, Kelly, for inspiring me all those times, and even taught me how to, all the sports. They were successful in all the sports. I'm not a bad. I was elected because of him. I did things his way. I didn't always train the way he did. He was kind of a wizard guy, but Jay Jay, my brother, he was a rock, man. He trained me in all sports, challenged me, made me mentally tough, and he'd fight me in the grass. It was great. My brother Jay and Kelly, can't thank them enough. I'm where I am today because of them. Times weren't always easy in the farm back then. We had big interest loans. We worked hard together, stayed together, and we had faith. Sports were a way out. It was an outlet for us outside of going to Sunday church. Half the time in church, we're thinking about wrestling. It was almost a religion. We supported and encouraged one another. It was a great home environment with a lot of love and support. Best brothers and sisters and parents in the world for me. Back then, I remember watching Iowa Public Television growing up. We didn't have a TV a lot of times, but when we did have one, we watched Iowa Public Television. And we watched Jim Gibbons, Dan Gable, Nate Carr. These guys became the legends. We caught wind of what they were doing. We wanted to be like them. We started thinking, we want to be that guy. Thank those guys. Growing up in Riceville, there was a man that helped us believe. He changed the whole city, the whole town. It was Coach Dave Ripley. He put a belief in all of us. He built a belief in that city in Riceville. It didn't have state champions. And he made wrestling events a religious activity. You had to show up for that Osage duel. You went to the vets tournament. You supported your teammates. He gave every kid in Riceville a vision. Went to state champions he produced, and Jim Mitchell, Jim Lanth, Rich Lakemeyer, Dwayne DeRee, they came back and inspired us all. My best friend growing up in high school was Dave Mitchell. We trained together, competed together, shared dreams together, chased big goals together. I had many outstanding teammates who pushed me every day. The Wildcat community is special in Riceville. The group there today, they had a great tournament out at the state tournament, and they're building something from scratch. No NIL, just homegrown development. Pour into every kid, and every kid matters. That's the Riceville way, built by Dave Ripley. Jim Miller helped out a while with Coach Ripley, and he even mentioned how Coach Ripley would do your laundry. Everything was disciplined, organized, meticulous, and being grateful for what you had. In high school, Dave Mitchell and I had some success and started getting attention together. We drove up to programs like UNI, looked at some D1 programs, Drake, we took visits, but deep down, I knew where I belonged. Central President Ken Weller was writing me personal letters, Greg Lonning was calling, my brothers and sister were already at Central, and they loved Central. And at that time, Central was winning conference titles and contending for national titles. So I made a commitment to go to Central. On day one, Lonnie trained with us hand in hand. First workout, triathlon, run, swim, bike. Never done one in my life. I ran that with him the whole way, won it at every step of the way, saying you can be a world champ, world champ. He was building in my DNA. We weren't just training, we were building a mindset, and it was metaphysical, man. That guy, spiritually, he's with us. I love Greg Lonnie. He built a lot into me. Got a lot out of Greg Lonnie and the coaching staff at Central College. So he built the belief, and I realized believing is the number one place to start. Every workout, every run, everything we do. So he shaped how I see coaching to this day, faith and family to this day. Great people do great things together. And in that room at Central, we had a lot of great people. Ron Johnson built that culture. Coach Kevin Azinger was a technician, meticulous about everything. Matt Deal, Tim Hackle, they poured into us. The teammates you can see in this room at Central, why I went to Central. It's like a love and a family, and it's a bond that lasts for life. Appreciate every one of those guys that are here. And it's kind of beyond achievements, just having those relationships that last forever. So the reason I want to go on is because those guys influenced me. I'm not here because of something I did. It's because of who God placed in my life. I had a lot of great people, and I owed them back to be great. Joe Mars and Brad Kreiner became my best friends in college, and we were in each other's weddings. They were there for me through thick and thin, and they're like family to me, and they're like family to my son, so I love it. We got people that got each other's back. Wrestling's a great sport that way. Kevin Azinger, always grateful for him, and his mindset and technique were the best. After I won my first national title, he said, you can do better. You got to dominate, man. He would always want you to get better. And he reminded me, Joe Sutton didn't win a national title. He's in the corner cheering me on. The guy was training just as hard as me. I'll never forget, I wasn't just training for myself. I had teammates that poured in. I owed it them to be the best I could be, and then thank them along the way. So thank you, Kevin Azinger, for making me the wrestler I became. At Central, after Central, I had the opportunity to go to UW La Crosse with Greg Lonning and Coach Dave Mitchell. Dave became an All-American. I went to the University of Iowa summer camps that summer, and after one red flag practice, I remember Gable coming up to me and offering me a stipend to train with the Hawkeye Wrestling Club. He said, Bart Chegla's leaving. We got a spot on the staff, or on the team. Bart's at Wisconsin. So I committed to train there. And what I can say about Dan Gable is everything they said is real. He's who everyone says he is. He would work hard, relentless. He made you believe, he trained you to go all in, and his word was gold. When Coach Gable trained me, I would take notes after each practice session. I'd write it down, put it in my DNA. And have him his mindset, his mantras and training philosophies in you, it just made you feel like you're walking on water. But one day he walked in the restroom with a wiffle ball bat, and he would throw things off. You never knew what one day or next minus to get tacked more in a room. One day he lost in the sauna, covered the windows. We didn't know when we get out. Some days we'd run Carver stairs, sprints. You never knew one day or next what lie ahead, but you knew that you were working harder than everybody, and you were mentally prepared, and competitions were the day off because you didn't have to deal with Coach Gable because he's probably the toughest guy in the world. So training prepared you for that. I remember one session he roomed me with Tom Ryan at the Sunkist Open, and Tom Ryan was 15 pounds over. I was 13 overs, and he goes, "Man, we got to go eat." I said, "We can't eat. We can't eat. We got to make weight. You got 15 pounds. I got 13." And he orders up French toast, pancakes, syrup. I'm like, "Dang!" And he's convinced me, so I'm all right, Tom. I'll join you. So I have some fruit or whatever, cottage cheese. We lose 15, 13 pounds. And the next day, wrestled great. We slept on it. We said, "Why can we do this?" Because we train harder. That's a day in the office. It's another day in the office just training like that. And so that next day, I beat Matt Dameray, world team. I beat some pretty dang good guys. He was a returning world team member. We beat some good guys with the mindset and training. So Coach Gable gave us that belief and that work ethic. And that room was iron sharpened iron. Troy and Terry Steiner, I don't know if they guys drink a drop. I think the only time you hear them serve, they F me. That'd be the only time. But they were pretty disciplined, great people. Tom Ryan, Gary Steffensmeyer, who's in the Hall of Fame, was there. Steve Hamilton at the time, Tom and Terry Brands. But all those guys, you get to a room, you want to hang with the top guys. And I tried to do that everywhere I went, whether it's Central or Iowa. But Gable's culture had me on track. Like Jason said, I was a 95 Olympic Festival champ, won the Michigan Open, beat some national champs. Tom Brands was in my corner there. Just a bunch of fireballs. Man, you go on the bus, everybody wanted to fight for each other. It was great. Great energy. My roommate was Pablo Yabasa, and at Iowa, wrestling was like a religion, man. It was like you had your faith, and then right to it is wrestling. On April 1st, 1995, I got a serious brain injury. I was unable to get my sentences straight. Not for a day, but for months. I was out of wrestling for a year and a half. I wasn't able to train. My brain wasn't working right. I couldn't think. I tried cross crawl. By the fate of God, my future was saved by my Aunt Kathy Lucretz. She was facing her own serious injuries. She led me to who was healing her. It was Dr. Jeff McCombs. I'm beyond grateful for both of them because after 1995, they saved my wrestling and my coaching career. I wouldn't be coaching today without Aunt Kathy Lucretz and Jeff McCombs. With health restored, I was able to interview for a Division I job at University of Virginia, coach with Lenny Bernstein. Got to coach outstanding guys like current head coach Jim Harshaw, Steve Garland, NCAA runner-up Jim Harshaw, Alex Leakey, deep friends. Being an assistant coach, you can get closer to athletes sometimes as a head coach. Then Nancy Schultz offered me a spot with the Dave Schultz Club, and my training partner was Johnny Curtis, and he was the right man for the job. I mean, he was a man of faith, really tough. We'd pray for our opponents. We wanted him to bring the best fight. We were going to honor God with what we did. In 1998, after coming back to injury, I placed third in the U.S. Open, beat Marcus Malka after he beat Cale Sanderson. And then 98, won second in the World Team Trials. And then in 2000, like Jason said, I was fourth. And it didn't finish how I wanted. I had a lot of guys in my corner. Kevin Jackson actually became my coach at the Olympic Training Center. I was a resident athlete, class act, man of greatness. And I really appreciate the people that God put in my life. And for Coach Gable, he's in the moment, always focused, make the most of every day. Great lessons that he still teaches today, even at this awards banquet. He said, "Are you all right with the guy that injured you being here?" I said, "Yes, I am, Coach, because I know forgiveness. And I don't want to live in the past. I want the new paradigm. I don't want to be the guy that lost in the past. I don't want to be the guy that got hit in the head in the past. I want to give the guy that gives grace in the past, lives in the present and future, and makes my past make my future better." And I forgive him right today. I feel like God's working. Like sometimes it's not about you being in control, but trusting where God's putting you and maximizing your time and gifts. But I thank Coach Gable for that. There's a little bit healing there for me personally. And seeing that he's a man of faith too now, because he's not the same man he was. Not one of us in here is who we were when we were in high school and college. We're meant to grow and become more. And the biggest thing I could say for you to win is know Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior. Because that's the best thing you can have. And you're going to feel like a winner. You don't need to prove it to society. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for hearing the committee. I want to thank Roy Salger for being here. I want to thank God for his grace and forgiveness. I want to thank my wife who supported me through everything. John Mark is here as a head wrestling coach currently at the University of Dubuque. I'm blessed to coach athletes that have won national titles and some haven't. Evan Brown and Josh Terrell, national champs, are here today. I'm most proud of. They're men of faith. They give back to their communities, and they're men who lead. That's greatness. And one of my mentors was Ben Peterson. When I took the job at University of Dubuque, Ken Weller said, "If you're there more than 2 years, call me. You got to get out of there." And my other mentor was Ben Peterson, and Ben said, "Hey, my mom said I should be at Iowa State. I shouldn't be at Maranatha. He goes, the only reason I went to Maranatha is I want to engineer men for God and greatness. He went to Maranatha. And I would say Ben Peters was a successful coach. So I don't always measure how I'm doing by society standards. I know how I'm doing with what I'm doing with the resources we have. Yes, we want to win a national title there, but there's some bigger things at stake. And right now, I got no regrets. Love everyone here. Thank you, committee, everybody here. You guys are the legends that built dreams that I didn't even know I was supposed to have, and you gave them in my heart. I'm a better husband, father, and coach because of everyone here. So congratulations to all the inductees here, champions. It's an honor to be with you. I'm very blessed and grateful, and thank you.